So I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page for the final project as you put it together. So first and foremost, you should have visited multiple times in here, this whole tab here for your course project. So open up your course project. I want to make sure everybody knows what's next. So if you look here at your pathophysiology final project PDF, what's going to come up are all of the requirements that you've been following in terms of you've picked your topics, and what you've been doing is going through and doing the written portion in a few sections. So I want to make sure that you understand there's very distinct requirements in terms of describing the disease, statistics on the disease, signs and symptoms, your labs or diagnostic tests, drugs that are used, and then alternative therapies. Of course, it has to be within MLA format, and please, please, please make sure that you have proper citations within your text, not just at the end. The references are always provided at the end of the paper, but your citations, if they are not within the text, it is still considered plagiarism. So please be sure to include that. I've reminded most of you throughout the entire process here, so please make sure that that is done. If not, points will be deducted for that. Now, part 2 of this paper, or this project I should say, is that you're going to be creating an educational piece in which this will be shared with your class. Most people choose to either make a brochure, do a PowerPoint presentation, or some type of handout or flyer. The goal of this is to be able to take the information you have gathered from your paper and create something that is a teachable moment or an educational piece, as if you were providing it, say, in a doctor's office. In our particular case, it's going to be teaching your classmates about the disease that you researched. So, of course, the information will be coming from your paper, but it is not meant to be another version of your written paper. The written portion is part 1. Part 2 is a summary of that. I will post an example of one so you can see what some other students have come up with. But be sure that this is an educational piece, so there again should be some very clear, distinct pieces that go along with this. And then part 3 is the peer review. The peer review is simply this. This is how research is done. Whenever somebody creates research or completes research, there's always a peer review process. You're going to view your classmates' educational piece, the brochure, the handout, the flyer, whatever it is, and you will be grading them. This is kept strictly confidential. Only I will see this. You're going to be submitting this to me through email, and you will be giving one review for each of your classmates. So there's a total of 5 of you, so you should be submitting 4 of them to me through email. So I want to make sure that we point out the rubrics so you have this. So part 1 rubric, which is here, this is how I'm going to grade. Okay, I'm going to look right at this. This is going to be in front of me with your paper. So if you want a maximum point in each section here, you're going to want to make sure that everything is included. So for example, description of the disease, maximum points, 25. In order to achieve this, there should be a very complete description of the disease that's in a format that's professional and easy to understand. Prevalent statistics. There must be at least 5 statistics throughout the paper. You don't just have to do a verbal vomit of them. They can be scattered throughout the paper, but they should complement your paper in some way. Your signs and symptoms, 20 points. In order to really make sure that you cover all of this, it should be quite comprehensive, and so on and so forth. So in order to get all of your maximum points, which is 165, this is how you're going to do this. I suggest having the rubric in front of you as you put together your final paper. I have provided you a ton of feedback throughout. If you have questions, then please let me know. Also, there's a rubric for your pathophysiology part 2. So this again is your educational piece, and again it's telling you exactly how to receive the maximum points. So there should be a little bit of a description, a brief overview. There should be some statistics. your signs and symptoms, the labs, most common drugs, the alternative therapies. The tone should still be professional, and you can see here that part of the grade is what the average is from your peers. So if your peers all gave you a 35, then of course your average is going to be a 35. So your part of your grade is going to be based on how your peers or your classmates are judging your educational piece. With that being said, I do typically see that nobody wants to give somebody a bad grade. However, I am looking at your part 2 just as well as everybody else. So let's just take an example and say that you did not include any drugs or therapies for the treatment of disease. So you didn't include anything here, so this would be a 0-point value. Peers, classmates, if you give this person a 10, when I can clearly see that no drugs were included in this piece, I am going to change your grade to a 0 because I can see that this was not met. So this is meant to be honest feedback and a review to make sure that all of these pieces were met in the educational piece. So this is the part that you should be working on now, along with the final draft or the final version of your paper. Essentially all semester what we've been doing is a draft to help give you the feedback before submitting a lengthy paper and missing out on potentially a higher grade. Be sure, again, these are both here. These rubrics are right here. You should have them in front of you when you are doing your final written paper, which is part 1, and the educational piece, which is part 2. Lastly, I just want to touch here, this is your peer review. This form is going to help you in the grading process after you do view part 2 once they are submitted. So if you open this up, this again takes you right through how to grade one of your classmates. So you're going to put your name, the student that you're reviewing, and then keep in mind, you're basically a patient who's in a doctor's office and you're seeing some sort of flyer, handout, brochure, PowerPoint, whatever it is. And the goal is, did these things get met? So you're going to grade based on that. Be sure, right down here, this is not to be shared with your classmates. This is kept confidential and you will only be sending them to me. Now, with that being said, if you have questions about this final section of your course project, be sure to ask them. This is a huge part of your grade, and I've really tried to give you everything that you need right here in order to do this. I will be opening this up so you can submit part 2 here. And then your part 1 submission, your written portion of the paper that you are compiling now, will be sent to me via email. So everything you need for your course project is right here. Be sure to ask me questions if you have them, if you are unclear about anything, to make sure that you're getting the best possible grade here. Keep up the good work. You only got a couple weeks left. We're in the home stretch here. So keep going strong.